You know, it's surprising how much we think we know about staying healthy as we get older. But there are often little things, everyday habits, that can be working against us without us even realizing it. We might be doing all the right things, trying to walk more, maybe even lifting a light weight now and then, but still feel like our legs aren't as strong as they used to be. That feeling of weakness when climbing stairs, that slight wobble when getting up from a chair. It's a painful reality for many. We tend to blame age. But what if some of the choices we make right at the start of the day are actually making it worse? What if something as simple as what you eat for breakfast could be actively hindering your leg muscle health? It sounds hard to believe. I know. But there are certain breakfast carbs that, while seemingly innocent, can truly undermine the strength and vitality in your legs. In this video, we're going to look at 3 common types of breakfast carbs that you might want to rethink if you want to keep your legs strong and independent. And trust me, what you learn by the end of this video might just surprise you, so stick around to discover what these 3 culprits are and what you can choose instead. Let's dive right into the first one, a type of carb that's been a breakfast staple for generations, often marketed as quick, easy, and even healthy. But for our leg muscles as we age, it can be anything but. I'm talking about those highly processed, sugary cereals that come in bright boxes. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but I don't eat the kids' sugary cereals. I eat the adult ones. And yes, some are definitely worse than others, packed with marshmallows or coated in layers of sugar. But many that seem more adult or healthy are still incredibly high in refined carbohydrates and added sugars, while being stripped of much of their natural fiber and nutrients. Think about a bowl of cornflakes, rice puffs, or even many of the oat-based cereals that aren't the plain, rolled oats variety. They might have vitamins added back in, but the basic structure of the grain has been processed so much that your body breaks it down incredibly fast. When you pour a bowl of these cereals and add milk, you're essentially giving your body a concentrated dose of rapidly digestible carbs and sugar. What happens next? Your blood sugar levels shoot up quickly. In response, your body releases a surge of insulin, which is like a key that helps move that sugar out of your bloodstream and into your cells for energy. But chronic, high spikes in blood sugar and insulin aren't good news, especially for muscle health. Over time, these constant roller coasters can contribute to insulin resistance, where your cells become less responsive to insulin. This makes it harder for your muscles to take up glucose for energy. But more importantly, it affects how your body processes protein. Muscle building and repair, especially as we get older, depends on having the right signals and building blocks available. High insulin levels, particularly when they happen frequently due to sugary, refined carbs, can create an environment in your body that's less favorable for muscle protein synthesis. That's the process where your body builds and repairs muscle tissue. Think of your leg muscles like tiny construction sites that are constantly under repair and renovation. Especially after you've been active, they need a steady supply of materials, mainly protein, to keep themselves strong. When you flood your system with sugar from processed cereal, it can interfere with the signaling pathways that tell your muscles to use that protein effectively. It's like trying to deliver building materials to a site during rush hour traffic. Things just don't get where they need to go efficiently. Plus, the inflammatory response that can be triggered by high sugar intake also plays a negative role. Chronic low-grade inflammation in the body can contribute to muscle loss and weakness over time. It makes it harder for your muscles to recover and repair themselves after activity. So, that daily bowl of seemingly innocent processed cereal isn't just sugar. It's potentially creating a less than ideal environment for your precious leg muscles. Beyond the blood sugar issue, these cereals often lack the very things your muscles do need: adequate protein and fiber. Protein is the absolute bedrock for muscle maintenance and growth. Fiber helps slow down the absorption of carbs, preventing those sharp blood sugar spikes and keeping you feeling full and energized longer. Processed cereals are typically low in protein and often low in fiber unless it's been added back artificially, which isn't quite the same as getting it from whole foods. So, you're filling up on something that gives you a quick burst of energy followed by a crash, and provides very little of the essential building blocks your muscles are crying out for. Imagine starting your day with a foundation built on sand instead of solid ground. That's what you might be doing for your muscles when you choose these processed, sugary cereals regularly. It's not just about avoiding the brightest boxes. Look at the ingredient list. If sugar is listed as one of the first few ingredients, or if there are multiple forms of sugar like corn syrup, fructose, maltodextrin, etc., that's a big red flag. Also, check the fiber content. A truly muscle-friendly breakfast carb will be rich in fiber to help manage blood sugar and support overall health. So, while the nostalgia or convenience of a bowl of cereal might be tempting, especially on a busy morning, it's worth considering the long-term impact on your ability to stay strong and mobile. Simply swapping out that processed cereal for something with more protein and fiber can make a significant difference over time in how your legs feel and function. Think about how much you rely on your leg strength for everyday tasks: getting out of a chair, walking to the shops, playing with grandchildren, managing stairs. Every bit of muscle you can preserve and strengthen contributes directly to your independence and quality of life. Choosing a breakfast that supports your muscles, rather than hinders them, is a powerful step. Now, moving on from the cereal aisle, there's another common breakfast carb that poses a similar, if not greater, threat to your leg muscle health. This brings us to the second type of breakfast carb that can be particularly detrimental to leg muscle strength as we get older: pastries, muffins, and other refined flour-baked goods. These items are ubiquitous. You see them at coffee shops, bakeries, grocery stores, often presented as a quick grab-and-go breakfast option. They smell delicious, they taste comforting, and they fit easily into a busy morning routine. But unfortunately, much like processed cereals, they are typically made with refined white flour, lots of sugar, and often unhealthy fats. Refined white flour has had the bran and germ removed from the wheat kernel, which are the parts that contain fiber, vitamins, and minerals. What's left is primarily the starchy endosperm, which is quickly converted to glucose in your body. So, when you eat a muffin, a scone, a croissant, or a donut, you're essentially consuming a dense package of rapidly digestible carbohydrates and sugar, often with a significant amount of unhealthy fat added for texture and flavor. This combination is particularly problematic. The high level of refined carbs and sugar causes that familiar blood sugar spike, triggering a large insulin release, which, as we discussed, can interfere with muscle protein synthesis over time. The refined nature means there's very little fiber to slow anything down, so the impact on your blood sugar is immediate and often dramatic. But it's not just the sugar spike. The nutrient profile of these baked goods is often incredibly poor. They are calories-dense but nutrient-poor. This means you're getting a lot of energy, but very few of the vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that your body, including your muscles, needs to function optimally. Muscle health isn't just about protein. It requires a whole host of micronutrients to support energy production, nerve function, and repair processes. When you choose a muffin over a nutrient-rich breakfast, you're missing an opportunity to fuel your body with what it truly needs. It's like trying to build a house with only one type of material. You might get walls up, but it won't be strong or complete. Furthermore, many commercially prepared pastries contain trans fats or high levels of saturated fats, especially if they are made with shortening or certain types of margarine. While research on fats and muscle health is ongoing, excessive intake of unhealthy fats, combined with high sugar and refined carbs, contributes to systemic inflammation. And, as mentioned earlier, chronic inflammation is a major enemy of muscle tissue, making it harder for it to stay strong and recover. Think about the cumulative effect of starting your day this way regularly. A daily muffin or pastry isn't just a treat. It's potentially contributing to a state in your body that makes it harder to maintain muscle mass and strengthen your legs over months and years. Consider the scenario. You wake up, maybe feel a bit stiff, but you need a quick breakfast before getting on with your day. You grab a large blueberry muffin from the local coffee shop. It's delicious, provides a quick energy boost, and makes you feel ready to go. But an hour or two later, you might experience an energy crash, that familiar slump that leaves you feeling tired and maybe even a bit shaky. This is the blood sugar roller coaster in action. Not only does this affect your energy levels throughout the day, potentially making you less inclined to be active, which is crucial for muscle maintenance, but the hormonal response it triggers is working against your muscle building efforts. For someone over 60, preserving leg strength is paramount for maintaining independence and quality of life. Weak legs can make simple tasks challenging and increase the risk of falls. Choosing breakfast options that actively undermine muscle health is a habit that really needs to be addressed. Swapping that muffin for something like Greek yogurt with berries and nuts, or scrambled eggs with some vegetables, provides protein, healthy fats, and fiber. Everything your leg muscles need to start the day strong. These alternatives provide sustained energy, support muscle protein synthesis, and don't trigger the inflammatory, blood sugar spiking response of refined pastries. The challenge is that these pastries are convenient and often ingrained in our routines. We might grab one on the way to an appointment or enjoy one while reading the morning paper. The good news is that becoming aware is the first step. Once you understand why these seemingly harmless items can be detrimental, you can start making conscious choices. It doesn't mean you can never have a pastry again, but perhaps it becomes an occasional treat rather than a daily habit. Prioritizing foods that nourish your muscles sets a better foundation for the day and for your long-term mobility. So, we've talked about sugary cereals and refined pastries. There's one more common breakfast carb that often flies under the radar, but can also be problematic for leg muscle health. Moving on to the third type of breakfast carb that can impact your leg muscle health. It's something incredibly common and seemingly simple: white bread, especially when consumed without pairing it with protein or healthy fats. Think of your standard slices of white toast, maybe with jam, or a bagel, or even many types of commercially produced whole wheat bread that are mostly refined flour with a bit of bran added back. Like the refined flour used in pastries, white bread is made from wheat that has been processed to remove the bran and germ. This removes most of the fiber, vitamins, and minerals. What's left is primarily starch, which the body quickly converts into glucose. A couple of slices of white toast, especially if topped with something like jam or honey, more sugar, can cause a significant spike in blood sugar, similar to what happens with sugary cereal or a pastry. Again, this rapid rise in blood sugar triggers an insulin release, and as we've discussed, chronic exposure to high insulin levels can create an environment in the body that is less than ideal for maintaining and building muscle tissue. Consider a typical breakfast: a couple of slices of white toast with jam and maybe a glass of juice, another source of fast-absorbing sugar. This meal is very high in refined carbohydrates and sugar, and very low in protein and healthy fats, which are essential for muscle health and satiety. You get a quick burst of energy, but because there's little fiber or protein to slow down digestion, that energy is fleeting, and you can quickly feel hungry again. This can lead to snacking on more potentially unhealthy foods later, creating a cycle of poor nutrition. Why is this particularly bad for leg muscles? Muscle tissue is constantly being broken down and rebuilt. This process requires a steady supply of amino acids, which come from protein. It also requires energy, ideally delivered at a relatively steady pace, and proper hormonal signaling. When you start your day with a meal that causes a dramatic blood sugar spike and crash, you're not providing your muscles with the steady fuel or the optimal hormonal environment they need for repair and growth. Instead, you're potentially contributing to a state where muscle protein synthesis is hindered. Furthermore, relying on refined grains like white bread means you're likely missing out on the benefits of whole grains, Whole grains contain fiber, which helps regulate blood sugar and supports gut health, which is increasingly understood to be linked to overall health, including muscle function. They also contain various vitamins and minerals that are stripped away during the refining process. These micronutrients play important roles in muscle function, energy metabolism, and reducing inflammation. So, choosing white bread over 100% whole grain options means you're actively depriving your body of valuable resources that could support your leg strength. Think about the convenience of white bread. It's soft, easy to chew, and goes with many things. It's been a breakfast staple for decades, but its ease of consumption also means it's digested very quickly, leading to that problematic blood sugar response. Contrast this with a breakfast that includes protein, like eggs, yogurt, or even some lean meat, paired with a complex carbohydrate source like 100% whole grain toast or oats, and perhaps some healthy fats from avocado or nuts. This kind of meal provides a sustained release of energy, a good supply of amino acids for muscle repair, and a wealth of micronutrients. It's important to read labels carefully. Even on bread that claims to be whole wheat, look for 100% whole wheat or 100% whole grain as the first ingredient. Even then, some highly processed whole grain breads can still cause a quicker blood sugar rise than less processed options. The key is to pair your carbs, especially if they lean towards the refined side, with protein and healthy fats to buffer the blood sugar response. But regularly starting your day with white bread, especially on its own or with just jam, is not setting your legs up for success. It's like giving them empty calories that don't contribute to their fundamental structure and function. Making the switch to truly whole grain bread, or better yet, incorporating other protein-rich options like eggs, Greek yogurt, or a protein smoothie, can make a real difference in how your legs feel and perform over time. It's about choosing foods that actively support your body's incredible ability to maintain strength and mobility as you age. So, when we look back at what we've discussed, those highly processed, sugary cereals, the enticing but nutrient-poor pastries and muffins, and the common white bread, we see a pattern. These breakfast choices, while convenient,